Okay, lovely. Hello, Mr. Albrecht. Great that you are speaking with us today. We are here at the CPDP. Maybe we could start diving a little bit back in the past. We have a lot of talk about personal data, of course, here. And you were a key figure in the legislative process of the GDPR. Maybe you could share some insights how this concept of personal data came into being.
First of all, I think what is often ignored is that data protection laws and regulations have been there already before GDPR. And many of the definitions haven't been changed a lot. And there's also a certain reason for that. And that is because data protection is not only a normal legislation figure or point, but it's also a fundamental right, which is enshrined in the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union. And there is already written down what data protection means and that it is about personal data. And there is a lot of judgments, a lot of definitions already around by the Court of Justice, for example. So when we talk about the general data protection regulation and how to form it and afterwards also how to apply it, we already and always have to have in mind that there are concepts behind which we cannot easily change unless we change those fundamental rights and the underlying treaties in EU law, which is not that easy. So that's the starting point. In the end, of course, the whole debate right now is about where does it start? Data to be anonymous, data to be pseudonymized, etc., etc. The most important distinguishment is to be made between anonymous data or information on the one side and everything else on the other side. Because everything what's not anonymous is personal data, full stop. Then you can ask if you have different consequences of what that means for the processing activities, but it's still personal data. And then the question is, what is anonymous data? How anonymous data or information have to be to not fall under the concept of personal data? And that is not to be decided in a very general matter, but you have to look always at the circumstances and at the capacities of certain people to de-anonymize information, to connect on information with with other personal information or with data subjects. And that's a case-by-case decision, although I know that's not very satisfying for many people out there, but that's the concept that it is somehow also flexible. It's changing. It's changing also regarding our capacities, our technological capacities in the future.
So then I understand correctly that also this categorization of what is sensitive data was not kind of invented during the process of the GDPR, but also kind of refers to existing concepts of what is sensitive and what not.
Absolutely. Sensitive data existed before, and there were concepts on categories of very sensitive information, in particular about the basic non-discrimination factors like sexual orientation or health data, and that is something which is further elaborated now in the GDPR because we need to have further standards and rules on that. But that's also something which is open for even further clarification in national laws. It's specifically foreseen in the health data sector, in all the health and social data sector, also because we know that in the future there might be new developments in research or also in application which need more answers than what we have enshrined in the GDPR.
Okay, yeah, I see. So there's quite a lot of criticism on this concept or this binary concept of personal data and non-personal data, and also in light of the modern technologies capable of linking data sets from diverse sources. Some claim that basically all data is personal data now. Well, not if it's anonymous, but...
And that's why I completely disagree with such a notion, because there is a lot of information around which is just not personal. The color of this plant or of the room or of the sofa is not personal information, and it cannot be made personal information by that. Of course, in the moment where I have links to the life of individuals, where I have links to certain individualized persons, then it becomes personal data. But still, there can be measures to either hinder that from happening, or you can just accept that certain rules apply in order to mitigate risks of personal identification. And I think we should be proud of having those risk mitigating factors and accept them and try to build on them in order to build a trustful environment, rather to see data protection rules as a burden for innovation, which it just isn't. Data protection rules don't forbid anything. It's regulating what is happening, but it's not that something is impossible by applying data protection. You just need to look out for solutions.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now maybe moving to the present, you until very recently were the minister in Schleswig-Holstein for digital and being outside, like Digitales und draußen, and are now going to be the head of the Heinrich-Böll Stiftung in Germany. And so looking at this connection between data, digitalization, but also our environmental crisis, climate change, maybe you could comment on that. What is the connection between these two topics?
There is a huge connection, and that is on several levels. The first important connection is that we need data and information in order to assess and analyze climate change. So we all know that there is a huge science-based approach on how to grasp the huge challenge of climate change. And that is important because we need capacities to further elaborate and analyze data about this challenge and these changes. The second is we need data to solve it. We will need a lot of innovative systems which also try to grasp our life and develop solutions how we can decarbonize our all-day life and economy. It's a huge challenge which we can only solve by digital means also. And then thirdly, because digitization and the processing of data is more and more responsible for climate change in the upcoming time. We will have the situation that we will spend half of our energy only on data processing. That's a lot. And so we will have to directly implement by design in all our systems decarbonizing effect and efficiency standards. And that's a huge task for building up systems for the future, which we have to do right now already and not in the future.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for talking to us and enjoy the conference. We're looking forward to your panel.
Thank you, me too.